in a circle. And I thought they were watching a play. When I went there, I saw a majestic peacock dancing in the snow. And everybody was quiet, watching. They did not want to disturb it. And then I penned, with your permission, these few lines, which I'll read it out to you. Peacocks in the snow, in the flutter of the feathers in the falling flakes, frozen white spread in the golden glow. The majesty of East in this far-off land, how come my peacocks are prancing in the sky?
Wow. Excellent. Thank you so much. That's so beautiful. Had I known you before, I would have asked you to write a foreword for my book. Thank you. Yes.
What motivated you for writing this?
Sorry, let's say that again.
What was your motivation for writing this?
My motivation, it was just all the stories in me. I fell ill, like I said, with a tummy ache. I went to a doctor and nothing was working, none of the drugs. And one day she called me and she said, I'm going to snip. And then I said, okay, whoa, stop. You're going to give me 3 weeks. I'm going to heal myself. If I can't heal myself, I'll come back to you. So I went back and I thought about it for 2 long days. And I said, there's nothing wrong with me. Then why is my stomach ache not going? And then I said, oh my God, I have internalized experiences of other people working in different jobs. Moving countries is not easy either. So looking at things in the East and looking at things in the West, I need to get it out of my system. So when I wrote the story, it was much larger. This is just 360 pages. That was 600 pages. And then I had to slice it down and work backwards. That was really why I wrote it.
So there was something inside you already.
You were cured? You were cured?
I was absolutely, I went back to her and she said, I don't know what you're doing, but it's working.
How much of your story is based on personal experience?
See, I'm going to be lying if I say that an author is not autobiographical. A novelist is always a little autobiographical, because if you don't interpret, see, feel, you cannot put your spirit in it, you cannot ground it, you cannot bring integrity or honesty to your story, right? So that way, yes, it is autobiographical. I have felt these things, I have faced these challenges, but the storyline is not necessarily autobiographical.
But it did inspire you,
moving,
some events in your life.
See, all of us, we belong, we are educated people, right? We are socially connected, we are internationally mobile. So even Canada, it's a little difficult for them when they changed their immigration policy in 1991. They started calling in a different profile of people. People like us started going. Basically, we just ran without thinking, which is not the most sensible thing to do. But there are other people who are coming who are equally, like, look at our university students. Last year, 500,000 people entered Canada from South Asia. 500,000 in 1 year. So the profile that is coming now is completely different. And Canadian government needs to make space and understand the access points in which these people will enter the country. They're not going to come and be content to be put in a box of immigrants or refugees or refugee claimants anymore. They want equal access because they are highly educated, probably more than the white population there. But, so that kind of played out,
When you started writing this, was it the intention to publish this? This is your first book. Was the intention to publish a book, or was it the intention of putting your mind on paper and writing down?
I have an academic publication, so this is my first novel, but no, I didn't think anybody would even read it. I had no intention of publishing it. I just wrote it, and like I said, after my first draft, I threw it to my friends, and I said, think you don't know me, and some of them didn't. So I was surprised when it got, I got very good feedback. Based on that, I built it forward. And then one or 2 big publishers gave me feedback. They said, you write it at 2 levels. One is that genre bending, page turn or thriller kind of thing, and the other is a slightly deeper commentary that's happening, which we spoke about.
So we look forward to now publishing books with the intention of publishing.
Maybe not. If the best time you write is when you don't think about anything but what you want to say.
Yeah.
Don't think about the readers. Don't think about who's reading. And if they say when you dance, think like no one's watching you. I say the same thing for writing. When you write,
That's absolutely.
Thank you.
Just a little last comment, not a question, but reading the book, I felt somehow the style of writing picked up. It started a bit kind of jerkily, and then it got more and more and more and more confident and flowing, and the joy of writing showed itself. So since this is a first book, I am absolutely certain that very brilliant books will follow in.
Are you already working on something?
yeah, I've started my
Sure you
second book. I don't know if it's a sequel, but there are lots of stories I had to put aside in this, like, the buster and the dacoits and all. I don't know if I can still write thrillers, but I've started working on my second.
Would you have time to sign the copies?
Yes, absolutely.
We love that.
Do you want me to read a little from the paranormal, the ghost piece?
Yes.
Or do we not have time?
We have time.
Of course we have
So
to.
I'll read a little bit from the paranormal. The darkness was chilling my bones. So this is a piece where you feel that the readers are left on their own interpretation whether to believe or not to believe. So, the darkness was chilling my bones. There was not a single star in the pitch black sky. It must have been past midnight when I tossed in bed one more time and looked in an odd uneasiness. The light from the electric lantern that hung in the veranda was dancing on my bedroom door. Wizards, elephants, knights, but none could rescue me from the silent shadows inside. Even the garden crickets were silent as if in anticipation of my decision. Finally, exasperated by my lack of sleep, tucking my shoulders snugly under the folds of my shawl, I stepped out onto the lighted veranda. In spite of the heaviness in the air, out of nowhere a strange wind had picked up. The wind's whispers brought with it the fragrance of jasmine, which was in full bloom between the shrubs. For a moment only, an insipid moon dribbled from behind a dense cloud. I stretched my hand over the edge of the veranda, where the concrete steps led the garden to feel for rain, but there was none. I plunged into the cane sedge, trying to focus on the winding croton stems, but my concentration was broken by a strong chilly draught, flying between the cement grills and heading straight towards the muslin drapes of my open bedroom. Spellbound, I followed it in and lay down. In the darkness, the whispers grew louder. It was a frail feminine voice, almost an echo, calling out from the dark corners under my bed. I shivered and sat bolt upright. Was someone there? I strained my ears. This time I heard the words, distant but clear. Maya, Veer. The hair on the back of my neck rose. I didn't blink and I couldn't move. It was definitely a voice of a woman. Within moments she started laughing. Her deep, throaty laugh pulled me into a murky, bottomless pit. I couldn't breathe. As I dug my nails into the edges of my bed to keep from falling, its wooden splinters pierced my fingers. A heavy blanket of stillness descended from above, and with it came the stench of rotten eggs. And then, from the corner of my room, behind the muslin drapes, she rose. Merely a grey drift, but I saw her. Her long black hair blew over her beautiful ashen face, and her dark eyes looked directly at me. She wore a jade green dress with a peacock feather on her sash. Oh, I'd seen that face before, the color of the skin, the curve of her jaw, those large doe eyes. Yes, I was sure of it, but where? In a flash, she started circling my head, working up to an angry frenzy. Her hair knotted up around her bloodshot eyes, and her face turned like fungus. I was trapped. I had to get out. Through my tears, I saw her reaching for my wrists. My palms were drenched in dark terracotta henna designs of vines and flowers that were to bring luck for the bride, but instead their tentacles slithered from the center of my palm, winding their way around my throat. With that last breath of life left to me, I moaned, "Help!" Suddenly the wind died down and I opened my eyelids. A divine smell of sandalwood replaced the earlier vile odor. I sat up. What a terrible nightmare. So real, so close, so sinister.
lovely. You read very well, and you write very well. Do what you read.
Very good.
Yes, you must. Thank you, Anubha, and thank you, Bharti. That was wonderful. And just a little comment when Bharti said that it started initially jerkily. I think that's with most good authors. Anybody who reads Mishnah gets bored in the first 50 pages and then you can't put it down. And I think it's the makings of an excellent author. So we wish you a lot of luck, Anubha, and we're looking forward to your second book. But we want you to visit us more often, irrespective. Ladies and gentlemen, may I ask you to give her a very, very big hand. And another big hand for Bharti. I didn't want to combine the two. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, please switch off your mobiles the next time. There were 3 calls, and that's most discourteous.
I just want to present this.
We are also privileged. Anubha has kindly consented to present a book to the club's library. It will be taken on charge, and then anybody who wishes to read it, and I suggest all of you do, please enjoy it. One at a time. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.